Yogi Bhajan would talk about that there is nothing more powerful. You know, he said there's nothing more powerful. But this is the one I say, yeah, okay, this is nothing more powerful, is meditating to the sound of your own voice. Listening deeply to the sound of your own voice. There's nothing more healing than that. Now, I have the handy thing, and some of you also do, of being a recording artist. I can listen to myself, right? I've got a quote. He says, "It is most powerful." See, it says it right here. It is most powerful when we chant and listen to our sound at the same time. If we chant only, it has half the power. Chanting and listening to the chant at the same time engages the higher consciousness, the circulatory and the nervous system. So you're engaging your higher consciousness, your circulatory system, and your nervous system. When you develop this listening power, you will be able to analyze what is good for you and what is not whenever another person talks. So what is that really? We use this word all the time. You can analyze what is good for you and what is not when another person talks. What is that? Intuition, right? Yeah, discernment, intuition, your sensory human thing that we're developing in this Aquarian age. Figuring it out, right? It is a very simple way to have knowledge. So there's an exercise that we're going to do. Sometimes I think I'm not going to teach this, but I always end up teaching this. You've heard it before, anybody who's studied with me before. Okay, this is something that I want you to practice for activating your listening experience of yourself, and it's really great to do this because we have lots of sound here to do this. So if it is the most powerful thing to listen to the sound of your own voice when you chant, let's play with listening. This practice, the genesis of this practice came to me in, late 80s, early 90s when I was living in California, and I've been married now 30 years. At that point, we'd been married maybe 6-7 years or something like that. And any of you who are in relationship know that there's beauty and flow and joy in the relationship, and then there's frustration and, all that other stuff. And so Yogi Bhajan, when he was living, you could have a pen pal relationship with him. He answered every letter you wrote. So if you wrote him a letter, he'd respond back. You might not get what you think you were asking for, but you would get a letter, and it was always great. I've got, a binder with all these great letters in there. It's really awesome. So I was all angry at my husband for some reason. I can't remember what it was. And I wrote him a letter, and I said, it was enough of a frustration that I wrote him a letter. Pre-email, send it off. So then I got a call from one of his staff members, which was unusual. And she said, "I have a message for you from Yogi Bhajan." Okay. He wants you to sit and listen to and name every sound. Okay. Cool. Why? Didn't say. How long? Didn't say. Okay. So, but call me back in 2 weeks and talk to me. So, we were living in Southern California, which was really handy because there were helicopters going by and traffic and weed blowers and all that. So I'd sit there and I wouldn't time it or anything, and I'd name every sound. Literally, you're going, sound of the harmonium, sound of the voice, the baby making the sound of the chanting. You're really doing this. And we're going to do this. But what you'll find, which I kind of figured out over time, is that if you are truly listening, you are not thinking. If you start to think, you're not listening. You can't do both at the same time. So the power of listening to your own voice when you're chanting, the power of listening to your beloved friend, rather than thinking about the next thing you're going to try to say, is this incredibly healing way to move through the world. Okay, so I did this, sat in the backyard, did my thing. So 2 weeks later, I dutifully call this woman back. Dial probably, right? No cell phone, dialed her back. And she goes, and she was very neutral about all of this. And she goes, so what's different? And I don't even remember that I was kind of wondering what was different during the time. And I went, oh, my husband has become a much more pleasant person. So I swear. So it wasn't, the assignment wasn't listen to Prabhu. Really listen to Prabhu. It wasn't that. It wasn't listen while you're speaking to somebody. It wasn't listen to this music. It was listen to and identify every sound. That's all. And this of all of this is the key in my book. It is the most powerful thing. The most powerful thing is to listen. So we're going to do this, and I'm going to talk you through this for a moment, and then I will be quiet. So please, meditative posture. Those of you who are napping, you can continue to nap. We invite napping to the sound current. It's good. So, your job is to name every sound that you hear. And then you can break it down into a little more detail as you hear sounds. Just any sound that hits your ear, you're going to name it. So there's a cricket off to your left. We have the sound of the person talking in the next tent, and the sound of somebody laughing. It's like a flute action, whistling. And keep going. No, in your head. Just name the sounds. Within your mind. You may find that you're starting to think. Bring your attention and focus back to listening. If your mind is wandering, bring it back to listening and identifying every sound. And in this space, let's chant Satnam again. Satnam. Listen deeply. Inhale. And exhale.
If you like this video, click the like button.
And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe.
Sound is vibration. Sound travels through space as a frequency. So, given all of that, why do you think mantra heals? Why do you think sound heals? Why do you think that vibration heals?